What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be listening to some Jordan Peterson. I know he is he's famous on the psychology side, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he does speeches and all of that. Am I wrong? I don't know. But I've heard about him, and today we're listening to That's the Key to Understanding the Middle East today. Let's see what this is about.
One of the sticking points between Islam and Christianity, let's say, is conceptions of the death of Christ and the resurrection, right? That's the primary sticking point. Jesus is a central figure in Islam, just as he is in Christianity, but there's a deep theological mismatch.
Yes.
It isn't obvious to me that in the Islamic world that the spirit of voluntary self-sacrifice upward is the foundation. It looks to me more like it's something approximating power. Now, I say that with trepidation because I've been watching the UAE and Saudi Arabia and the...
He uses very, very big words. Very, very big words for someone who doesn't speak English.
With trepidation.
I mean, I do speak English, but with deprecation? With deprecation. I like that word. I say that with deprecation. I need to learn English from him.
It's to me more like it's something approximating power. Now, I say that with trepidation because I've been watching the UAE and Saudi Arabia and the signatories of the Abraham Accords warn the West about radical Islamism, which they seem to regard as a form of dangerous psychopathy.
Yes.
And it seems to me that it would be a wonderful thing if the Islamic world, the sane Islamic world, could formulate a definition of psychopathic Islamism that would be applied universally and adopt. We're not going to do it in the West. We're too damn weak, as far as I can tell. We look at the UK. We won't draw boundaries in the UK. We won't draw boundaries in Canada or on the university campuses. We're too guilt-ridden. So
yes. Well, as I see it, too, and as you know, I've written about this for many years, principally in The Strange Death of Europe. What I've seen happening in our era has been two things happening simultaneously. One is the guilt...
Oh, look at the video lagging. Is it from the video?
Two things...
Yeah, it is. Interesting.
...happening simultaneously. One is the guilt-ridden societies that have effectively sloughed off their faith structure.
I don't know why the video is glitching like that.
Which happens in the Jewish world as well. There's a movement within Judaism, mainly sort of Reform Judaism and what I call Spilt Judaism, which is something called Tikkun Olam, which is effectively that the end point of Judaism is sort of social justice. Okay, it's effectively for non-believing Jews, but who see themselves as Jews, still are Jews, but who they cultural Jews, but that they can express their Judaism by a support for the downtrodden and so on. And there's lots of good to be said for that, but it's just that on its own, it's
the question,
shallow.
Douglas, is how do you support the downtrodden? And the answer to that is not necessarily by economic means. I don't believe that. It's just
absolutely.
as we talked about on the other podcast, is that economic incentives don't increase the birth rate.
Right,
why? Because people do not live by bread alone.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. And in Christianity, in what T. Hume might have called spilt Christianity, you get it in the language of human rights and so on. But again, it doesn't understand the water in which it's been swimming, and so this has been the case for, I know you might say 200 years in the West. You might draw the line at different dates, but the interesting thing to me, which is the dangerous moment for our societies, is when these forms of very weak, sort of spilt religion encounter a religious fervor that is not weak, is not guilt-ridden, loves the fact that we are, is very keen to push it on us where it advantages it, and which, in the House of Islam, has, to put it quite frankly, not got its house in order. There are those who've told me for a quarter of a century...
As evidenced by the almost complete absence of functional societies in the Islamic world.
That's right. One piece of evidence. I would add one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
I feel like this video jumped so fast into the topic that I'm like a little bit lost. But from what I heard, they're talking about the differences of the religions and how they affect what? Why am I confused? Someone explain to me what I'm listening to right now. They were talking about the extremes of Islam, like that there's kind of two types of religions in that one religion and they should divide them, right? Divide them mentally for people so that they wouldn't be considered the same thing. And then now they're talking about the different groups that form from Jews and from Christianity. Am I understanding this right?
In the Islamic world.
That's right. One piece of evidence. I would add one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. I'd add one on the more personal level, which is, why is it that even in every Western society where there are Muslim reformers who are outspoken as reformers and who are the most virulent opponents of the death cult, jihadists and extremists, even the not at the moment violent but Islamist movements within their midst, why is it always the reformers who are at risk?
You mean like Ayan?
Like Ayan. I should mind
vilified by the feminists as well.
Of course, you'll get a double whammy because you're seen
something to
because
see.
You're seen among other things as bringing the problem because you identify the problem. So you're bringing the problem. We wouldn't have the problem if you hadn't identified it. I mean, I think I have a pretty good grasp of the extraordinarily brave individuals who in Western countries, never mind in Muslim countries, who have put their head above the parapet and been shot at a hell of a lot, sometimes quite literally. Why is it the case, if the House of Islam is in any decent order, that it would be that way round? Why would it be that again and again the men of violence keep on being able to say, we have the truth on our side?
Right.
Now, there are countries that have pushed this worst interpretation of Islam for centuries. There are specific strains, but we have seen in our own day that this can also be reversed. The House of Saud in the 1990s was pumping Wahhabist ideology through the world. Now, if you speak to the Saudis, they will sometimes admit privately that what happened was that after the Iranian Revolution, the Khomeinist Shiite revolution in 1979 in Iran, the Saudis got spooked and realized they needed a Sunni fundamentalism equal to it. And they drew up the Wahhabist tendencies are always there. And then they pushed that around the world.
Oh, yeah. As a bulwark.
Since 9/11,
again, very complicated English to be explaining this, but the points that stood out to me was that the person who recognizes the issue is the one who's supposedly bringing it, which doesn't really make much sense to me. And I don't know, I found weird the question of why are they able to say that this is right? Because at the end of the day, these people that are very extremist are nearly brainwashed to thinking one thing. So why wouldn't they be able to say it's right? I mean, if I believe that, I don't know, my microphone is pink, who's to tell me it's not? The thing is to convince me that it's not, in a logical sense. I don't know. I'm confused. What does that mean? What do you mean? Why are they able to say it's right? I'm confused.
the Saudis started to get some pressure on that from the
I feel like I'm completely passing the point here, because what?
West and others. But that had always been there. But they can diminish it. They can suppress it. They can, instead of propagandizing for the worst versions of Islam, they can try to do something different. You see that, I would argue, in the Emirates. You see a very dangerous example of a 1980s, 90s era Saudi Arabia in Qatar at the moment, which, although putting out a very materialistic pro-Western face, certainly with a lot of money to pump into the West and pollute a lot of people, are playing with...
Money our idiot industry gives them.
Absolutely. But they are not just playing with, but pumping out the same type of Islamist...
Back to the universities, back to the universities.
The same ideology that the Saudis were pumping out in the past.
So they're saying that we should stop funding these extremist ideologies, right?
But I would come back to this central thing, which is that the big problem for Islam as a faith is, can they deal with this problem within the House of Islam or not?
What a confusing video. It jumped so straight into the topic that I don't even know what to say, guys. I mean, I would love to hear your comments in the in the comment section below. I don't know if I passed completely the point. I have nothing to say, guys. I honestly have nothing to say. I know you're all gonna hate me. You're gonna be like, oh, why are you reacting to something you have nothing to say to? But I find this topic interesting, though. Either way. So I hope you found it interesting as well. Thank you for joining me for this video. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys in the next video.